Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going way back to the early life of Loren Cunningham, the founder of YWAM. We're peeling back the layers this time, going deeper than his initial call to missions.
It's like, to really get him, you got to see where he came from. Family, experiences, the whole deal. Like, every superhero's got an origin story, right?
Okay, so picture this. It's the early 1900s. Loren's grandfather's got this successful laundry business going. Like, he's doing well, right? Out of nowhere, he gets this huge urge, this call to preach. And he just gives it all up, sells the business to go spread the gospel.
Yeah, but it wasn't as simple as, like, switching jobs, This decision was a bombshell. Financially, for his family, everything changed. And then, talk about bad timing, a smallpox epidemic hits. His wife, 2 young sons, they're quarantined. And he insists on joining them. You can imagine, right? His wife, tragically, she doesn't make it.
Oh, wow, that's awful.
And it gets worse, if you can believe it. The authorities, worried about the disease spreading, they burned everything they owned. Imagine losing your wife, your home, just gone. That changes a person.
Absolutely. So does he, give up on the preaching thing after that?
No. He doubles down. Feels even stronger about sharing his faith. He keeps preaching, but think about this. He has 5 kids. So he has to place them in different homes to travel and preach.
Wow. I mean, what a decision to make. You have to think about how his kids felt about all this.
Oh, it definitely affected them, each one differently. Some were, kind of neutral. But his daughter, Arnett, Loren's aunt, she carried this bitterness about her whole life almost. Saw it as reckless, this choice that tore their family apart.
Makes you think about the cost of a calling, right? What? Was it heroic or reckless? It's complicated. And it just shows how faith, same event, can impact people so differently, even in one family.
Exactly. And Loren grows up with all this complexity swirling around him.
Okay, so let's talk about his dad, Tom. He's growing up, bouncing between foster homes because of this choice, right? But here's the thing. He doesn't resent his father for it.
He actually feels that same call to ministry himself. Which, well, you can imagine that created a whole new batch of problems. His sister, Arnett, the one who's, not a fan of the preaching life, she's doing well for herself, offers to pay for Tom to go to college, sees it as a way out, right? Stability, better future, all that.
Yeah, after everything his family's been through, that's a tempting offer.
Totally. But Tom's conflicted, obviously. Then, while he's working construction, he almost dies. Like a load of lumber nearly crushes him.
Yeah.
It was after that brush with death
that
he decides he can't ignore this calling any longer.
Wow. Talk about a sign. It's like that legacy of faith, it's powerful, but man, it comes with some real-world baggage too.
Yeah.
Makes you think, how's all of this going to play into Loren's story? So we've got this legacy of faith, right? But this awareness too that it can cost you something. And now here's young Loren growing up with all these stories, all these examples. What do you think what kind of impact does that have on a kid?
It's funny you should say that. Because just like his dad, Loren has this really powerful experience when he's 13. This experience kind of sets him on his path. So picture this. He's at a church service in Arkansas, kneeling at the altar. And out of nowhere, he has this vision, like a vivid vision, right? It's the words of the Great Commission, but literally there in front of him, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel.
Whoa, at 13. I mean, I think I would have gone home and told everyone I saw Bigfoot, not the future of my life.
I know, right? But for him, this was huge. And you know what his mom did?
What?
Takes him straight to the shoe store. To get preaching shoes. Brand new. Okay, son, you're going places. Literally, you need good shoes for that.
That's great. My mom would have been like, just wear your good sneakers. So, I mean, new shoes or not, it sounds like Loren took this calling thing seriously.
Oh, yeah, he did. He preaches his first sermon, get this, at 13. And it was about temptation. Yeah. Even then, right? He's thinking about the tough stuff.
Yeah.
Like staying true to your beliefs, the pressure to fit in,
all
that. He even talked about his own struggles. The Chippewa boots, burled cream in his hair, trying to be a teenager with this calling on his life.
He wasn't like some kind of mini preacher robot. He was a kid just trying to figure things out, like all of us.
Totally. And just like most teenagers, he had his things, things he really wanted. He was obsessed with his 1939 Chevy.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to buy it, fix it up, the whole 9 yards. Can you picture it? Classic car, all shined up, him cruising around.
Yeah, that's a pretty classic teenage dream. Did he ever get the Chevy?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Remember we were talking about his dad, right? Putting mission work above everything else? Well, Loren's dad goes on this mission trip, his first one overseas, and it really got to him. all the poverty, the need. He'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's different when you actually see it firsthand.
Totally. And he comes back and he gives this sermon. But it's not just any sermon. It's powerful, emotional. He keeps talking about this young Arab girl begging for money. He's like, she's the face of missions, a whole world that needs, I don't know, hope, needs something more than just stuff. And you can tell it hits Loren hard. I mean, this is his life too, right? This idea of sacrifice for a bigger purpose.
So what do you do? Give up the car?
He did. Gives up the car fund,
Yeah.
all the money he'd saved. He gives it to his dad to support the work. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is.
Right.
He could have just said, yeah, that's sad, but he actually did something about it.
Wow. That's really something. You can see how all those values from his family, they really sunk in, even when it came to something he wanted so bad,
Exactly. And you know what? He did get his Chevy eventually.
Oh, he did?
He did, but not before working extra jobs to earn the money himself. And even then, he ends up using that car to go on his own mission trip to Mexico. So it's like he learns all these lessons along the way about hard work, about connecting your passions to something bigger.
So here we are, 19-year-old Loren finally gets his Chevy, right? And he's off to Bible college. It's like he's at this crossroads, all these stories from his family, his own experiences, and then this pull between what he wants and this idea of faith and service he's grown up with. It makes you think about how our past kind of shapes our future, What stands out to you about Loren's journey so far?
It's that tension for me between wanting something so real like that car, right? And feeling this call to something, I don't know, bigger than yourself somehow. I think Loren's story, it reminds us we don't always have to choose just one thing. He found a way to have both, the dreams and the values, and that's a pretty good lesson, I think. Think about it. What was that thing for you growing up? The thing you wanted so bad, how that shaped where you ended up?
It's like he learned you can go for it, but don't forget what matters, right? Pretty good lesson to learn at any age. But this deep dive, it kind of leaves us with a big question, don't you think?
Yeah. It does. Knowing everything we've talked about, right? His family, what he went through himself, this back and forth between ambition and service. What kind of leader do you think this makes him? What kind of mark is he going to make on the world? He's got all this legacy, but he's also just Loren, shaped by all these unique experiences.
But we just read the first few chapters of a really good book, and now we got to know what happens next.
Exactly. And just like a good book, right, there are hints along the way. We see those glimpses of who Loren is, that drive, that compassion, the way he actually does things, not just talks about them. Those are the things that shape a person, shape the impact they have.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've gotten to know Loren Cunningham, the person, not just the name.
Me too. And for everyone listening, I hope this has given you something to think about, too. As you keep learning about Loren, about YWAM, and the impact it's had, remember those early days. Those experiences, they matter. They might just be the key to understanding who he became.
Thanks for taking this journey with us back to the roots of a movement. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, but until then, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep searching for those deeper insights.